Hey guys, I'm just going to quickly show you how I put on my hand wraps when I go to kickboxing. There's a ton of different ways you can put hand wraps on, but I'm just going to show you my way. I'm not saying it's necessarily the right way, but it's the way I feel more comfortable with anyway. Okay, so there's different size hand wraps you can go for. You can go for, I think it's either 2 meter is the shorter version or 4 meter, which is the full length version. I always go for the full length version. 2 meter would they just wouldn't be long enough to go around my hands enough times. So when you buy your hand wraps, you'll start off with this end. You'll have this kind of loop on one end, and you'll have the Velcro strap on the other end. Some hand wraps, so the loop goes over your thumb. Now some hand wraps will have printed on this side down. These ones don't, because what you'll find is when you start putting it on, if it's the wrong way, when you get to the end, the Velcro strap will be upside down, if that makes sense. But pretty much just through experience, the way I know these are the right ways, because the stitching just here, see how you've got the seam, so it's this part, the in part of the seam there, I know is the downside, and that kind of smoother, more flat stitching is the outside. So loop over the thumb, then just go around the wrist. So you want to go around the wrist and not too far up. We're supposed to be support on the wrists here, and not not so much this part of the hand. So make sure it's at your wrist. Again, you don't want to be ridiculously too low down. So so that was over the thumb once, then just around the wrist. So if we do that 3 times, so I'll end up with this. Then if we just bring it back around and over the thumb, like so. So that was around the wrist 3 times, then back up over the thumb. So from the back it looks like this. So make sure you kind of pull it taut enough down towards the center of your wrist, and then just bring it around your wrist one more time. Then from here you want to cross over the front of your hand up to the knuckle of your pinky finger. So you can see I've kind of crossed over. Then bring it around the back and around the front of the knuckles. So we want to wrap it around the knuckles 3 times. So this point's important. When you're wrapping the knuckles, make sure that your fingers aren't together like this. Make sure you kind of spread them slightly. The reason for that is if you keep your fingers straight and you're wrapping and pulling the wraps taut, once you finish wrapping and then you go to clench your fist, this part will become extremely tight, and it can actually start to cut off your circulation and just generally be uncomfortable, which obviously you don't want. So so around the knuckles 3 times, keeping you want to pull it tight. Obviously you don't want them to slip off, but keeping your fingers spread, like I say, that just makes sure that it's not too tight. So that's around the knuckles 3 times. Like so. So we're going to cross back over the front of the hand, back down to the wrist. So it's a little bit fiddly, trying to keep it in place. So you can see here, I've just kind of holding that in place with my thumb there. So that was cross over the front of the hand, back down to the wrist. Go around the wrist one more time. And that just keeps it nice and neat in place. And then from here, we're going to go straight up and in between the pinky finger. Then at the back, down and pull it taut to the center of the wrist there. Then round the front, back up and in between the next finger. And again at the back, pulling it taut down here, and then round, back up the front and in between the middle finger and the index finger. And then again back down here, pull it taut. And from here, just go around the wrist one more time. Okay, so from here, we're going to cross back over the front of the hand again towards the knuckle of the pinky finger. So up towards here. Then around the back of the hand. And around the knuckles. So you can either do this 2 or 3 times, depending on, see, it all depends on the size of your hands. There's no exact science to this because everyone's got different size hands. I can probably only go around the knuckles another twice because then I start to run out of wrap. You need to make sure you've got a considerable length of wrap left to go around your wrist a few times. So with the wrap that's left over, so we want to go around the wrist, but try and kind of work. Obviously, make sure it's tight enough, but work your way down the wrist slightly. So you don't want it to be all bunched up here like that, because that's not really giving you great support. So the last few kind of wraps around the wrist, we just kind of work it down a little bit, and then obviously secure with the Velcro. So like I said, that's just one way to wrap your hands with the wraps. There's many different ways. This way just works best for me because it's a quicker way, and I just find that not only does it support my wrist, my hand, and a bit of extra protection for my knuckles, it stops them. They don't start to slide off so much when I'm taking my gloves, putting them on and taking them off, and swapping between the focus pads. Alright, anyway, I hope this has helped you in wrapping your own hands. Any comments, just give us a shout.